Magic in the Morning with Extreme, and it's time for a weekly installment of Good Policies with Mike Barrett from Barrett Insurance Agency. Mike, did that song make you feel old too?
It brought back some memories of me trying to hit those high notes and falling way short and being totally off key. So yes, it brought back some memories, not necessarily pleasant ones, but I love that song.
Well, it's a huge hit. All right, so let's talk insurance. That's what our Good Policies segment has always been about. And we've been talking about flooding here for a little bit, but we're coming in from a different angle today. Have you ever noticed how we just referenced how old we felt with that song?
Yeah.
Remember when we were younger and we just tried to not have everything that we were supposed to have? You know what I'm talking
I know
about?
what you're talking about. Going without health insurance, out. Yeah.
Okay, so I can remember back in the day when it's like, man, now I got to put insurance on it because I got a speeding ticket or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. So as we grow older, we learn that when accidents happen, whether it's a car accident, a home fire, a flood, or something like that, we should have had insurance.
Yeah.
Right?
Very much so.
So people will say, well, the only reason I got it's because I got to have it.
Yep.
Not a good world to live in, is it?
You know, I often say don't ever buy something because you're told you have to. If you have to, then make the best of it. Make an opportunity. Make a moment out of it. Make it make sense for you. Honestly, let's go to the world where none of us have insurance. Let's just go to that world for a second. It just sounds fun, right?
No.
A lot cheaper, right? So we're driving around without insurance. Let's say I'm driving around without insurance. You're crossing the street and I run you over and horrifically injure you, altering your life going forward. I did that to you. I am responsible for doing that to you. So, the only two options you have is that you hope for the best and your life changes. You can't work anymore. Or because I'm liable for having changed your life for the worse, am going to have to pay for that. I don't want to pay out of pocket for that. I don't want to, because that's going to be significant. That's going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars that I don't have. I certainly don't pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to insure myself, but I pay thousands of dollars to insure myself for hundreds of thousands of dollars of coverage. So you're really transferring a risk. And I know that when you're making that payment, believe me, I'm a consumer of insurance just like the next person. When you're making that insurance payment, you go, geez, bro, God, it's easy to be upset about it, right? You're paying hundreds of dollars a month for TV, hundreds of dollars a month for cellular. You're not getting anything back from that ever, except for the use of the product. But I sometimes question whether I'm getting $300 worth of value out of anything in that regard. Not that it's that much, but when it comes to insurance, having that front line of protection has an incredible amount of value, whether you see it or not. I was thinking the other day, if I go my entire life without having a fire at my house, I will be forever thankful, right? But I sleep better at night knowing that if that fire was to occur, that I have the appropriate means to remedy the situation, indemnify myself from the loss so that I have a place to live that I've paid an incredible amount of money for, so that my family can still grow up there. There's so many reasons, it goes for all lines of business, right? Like people don't want life insurance. They think it's a waste of money. There's arguments on that, on how you do it. But I'll tell you right now, if I drop dead right now, I know that my wife and my son, while their lives will change with my loss, will not change for the worse financially. So there's a lot of benefit there, Jeff, that I don't think it's easy to be mad about making that payment, but you got to think about what it's intended for.
Well, there was a whole bunch there that we don't want to happen. Don't you dare drop dead right there, okay?
No, you would never be able to lift me.
Because by law, I can't save your life because I don't have a CPR card. But, so on another note here, you mentioned from a homeowner's perspective, in a family perspective, there are those out there that don't have a home and they don't have a family yet. They've got an apartment. They've got whatever.
Right.
But that goes for them as well.
Right, it does. And think about it. You don't necessarily have assets today to protect, all right? Especially if you're young. If you're young, just getting out, you might have a bank account that's full when you get paid and drizzles out at the end closer to payday. Paycheck to paycheck. We've all lived that way, all right? But here's the thing. You don't want that paycheck to paycheck to then have a lien on it or a judgment because you didn't have insurance, and you're liable. And because of the way the courts and the laws are in our states and in our country, you're going to be responsible. You don't want to have a further docking of your pay because you're already living paycheck to paycheck. And then as you start to grow and you start to see some money staying in your bank account, and then you're building up some assets, you're buying that house, you're buying that ATV, that recreational trailer, that summertime camp, that going on that vacation to Europe. These are all things that you want to do, but you need to be able to have frontline protection so that if something happened that was an accident, not an on purpose, that it won't prevent you going forward from having those things if that is truly your desire.
And that lien that can be placed on your week-to-week or weekly-to-weekly paycheck isn't just for a catastrophic event like a complete totaling of a vehicle or worst case scenario, taking someone's life.
Right.
Even a fender bender, as you have found out here, even a fender bender is expensive.
Not cheap, and I opted to pay out of pocket for my last one, which was much more expensive than I expected it to be. But then when I saw my auto insurance renewal come out, because I had already had an accident that was paid for, I thought to myself, man, I think I might be pretty glad that I paid out of pocket for that, because I'm not worried so much about seeing an additional increase, but whether or not I would still have that insurability, right? Because companies are going, hey, if there's a frequency of loss here, you're not necessarily a good risk to insure. We don't want to be with you anymore. That can be even more challenging than paying a claim out of pocket. So I'll often tell people with the smaller stuff, think about if you want to pay that out of pocket. Save this claim for something a little more unexpected, a little bigger. There's a lot of leveraging there. But again, it comes down to don't ever have insurance because you're told you have to. And I know we're not talking flood, but that's the primary reason people have flood insurance, is because a mortgagee has told them to, not because it makes sense to protect themselves. And I really want to be of the school of thought of know your risks, know your exposures, know what could be potentially life-altering financially going forward, and find ways to protect that.
People around here, I tell them, like when I grab them something from the store, well, you didn't have to do that. What do I always say? Well, if I had to, I probably wouldn't.
Yeah.
Don't.
There you go.
Don't live in that world. Tell them how to get answers.
Yeah, feel free to give us a call. Barrett Insurance Agency. We are at 748-5224. Our office is on Portland Street in St. Johnsbury. Online, thebarrettagency.com. Google, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Just look for Barrett Insurance Agency.
All right. I hope you enjoyed this perfect summer day today, my friend.
Inside and working, and I'll be just longingly looking out the window like a puppy waiting for his owners to come home.
A day closer to the weekend, though. All right, coming up in a handful of minutes, our Hometown Minute with Beans Homes. Right now it's Bruno Mars and B.O.B. on Magic